do I know all of the fights ahead of time? That is a must. If you do not know the fights, you're really going to have to warn your members about that and possibly take a little interval in there to go look it up and figure it out, and possibly get them to do the same thing. I do suggest all raid members know the fights as well as their leader, but the leader must know them. You're the one that has to coordinate it and explain it. So please, that's a big thing for everybody, and like I said, raid leaders, you gotta know the fights ahead of time. If there's even the slightest chance you might get to a fight that night, for example, going in TOC, maybe you've never been in there, but there's a chance you might go all the way to the end. You know, you get lucky or you're just doing really well, make sure you know all those fights. Don't go in there and like, well, I know the first fight, but I never bothered to learn the rest. You know, they're relying on you. Make sure you know all the fights. YouTube has a great source of files for all that. Am I able to clearly explain each angle of the fight? You gotta know what a healer has to do. You gotta know what a DPS has to do, melee and range, and you gotta know what the tank's gotta do. You also gotta know for that fight who should be healing who. The roles, you know, who's assigned to what, that's extremely important. I'll try to delve into that in the future as well. But you really gotta know each angle of the fight. Does he put a debuff on somebody? If so, what do you gotta do with it? Is he gonna have to switch targets to another tank? Does a DPS have to run around? Do healers have to spread out? Is there anything going on other than just a pure tank and spank fight? If so, you need to know what it is, why, and how to counteract that. That way you can explain that clearly to them. And you really got to know how to explain things clearly. Try to stay on topic of one thing and move on. It's best to have them hold their questions, if they have any, till after you've done your full explanation, and then go into each individual thing to make sure people ask their questions and aren't nervous about it. That way you do it right the first time. How do I encourage my raiders to do their best? Encouragement is extremely important. A lot of raid leaders have the attitude of, if you're not good enough, you don't get loot, you don't get to do this, and they'll just jump your case. You know, for a really hardcore guild, and if everybody's expecting that and is okay with that, and that's how they get their encouragement, is people jumping on them, telling them what they're doing wrong, alright. You know, I've seen it work, but I don't suggest that, and I don't do that. But you can't be, you know, super laid back, like, oh, cool, great job, guys, we'll get it next time, you know, it happens. It's not going to give you progression very well. But you need to know what went wrong. Let them know, hey, you know, you probably should have done this a little bit differently. It might help, but you did a great job, but, you know, let's try this. It might work better. And go for it, you know, but don't just tell them what they've done wrong. If they did something wrong, you better have an answer for it and a suggestion of how to fix it. Hopefully they will respond to that and, you know, say, oh, but this would have worked better. And you're like, oh, yeah, okay, etc., etc. During the fight, you need to be calling things out, or other members need to call things out if something's happening. And encouragement during that, you know, in the middle of a fight, for example, the Twin Valkyr on 10-man TOC. When we go in there, you know, a bubble's up, I'm like, kill the white bubble, come on, guys. And it goes down without a hitch. It gets interrupted. I'm like, great job, guys. Keep it up. Doing a good job. Almost there. See that right there? That's a little encouragement during the fight from your leader. It's really important to let people know that they're doing a good job. Don't just call people out for doing something wrong and help them fix it. That's great, but you got to give positive reinforcement to people who are doing a good job anyway. Again, I'll try to get into more of that with some suggestions and exactly what you can do. Alright, what else is expected of me to be a raid leader? Number 1, you're expected to be there every single night that raid is happening. If you can't make it for some reason, hopefully you have a backup raid leader, or everybody knows it ahead of time. You know, they gotta tell you if they're not gonna show. You better tell them too. If something happens, you know, unexpectedly, you know, try to get the number of another raider or of the leader of the guild or something. I always let my officers know, you know, you can text me or something, or, you know, try to get in contact with me if something happens, and I do that to them as well. That way, if I get disconnected or something, which happens from time to time with my internet, you know, I text them. I'm like, crap, man, I'm sorry, I got disconnected, I'm trying to get back on. And he's like, okay, he lets everybody know, and everybody's cool. But if someone just logs out or whatever with no explanation, it can make you struggle. All of this is expected as a raid leader, and I mean, there's a lot more to being a raid leader. But I gotta admit, it's not really hard. You just gotta be the leadership type. Take control, do your best, be able to take constructive criticism, be able to give it, know how to change strategies on the fly. You really gotta. For example, faction champions, you don't get the same mix-up every single time. It doesn't work the same every single time. So really, you got to be able to tell people what to do. We need you for this. We need you to tank this one. You go disc so that you can mass dispel. You go into this spec. You do this. Blah blah. Burn this guy down first, or crowd control this guy. Burn this guy. Have the rogue on this guy. It's complex. Every fight can be. Always work for it. If something isn't working and you got to change it to make it work, that's fine. But you also want to make sure that you know the strategy that your core 10-man or you're going to use in your 25-man. That way your guys aren't confused when they go into a 25-man or they have to raid with another team or something goes on. You want to make sure all your teams are using the same strategy so you're ready to go. Generally, people have a second 10-man. That way they've got 20 core people for their 25-man. So make sure you're using the same strategy. Ask your main raid leader, ask your guild leader, figure it out, make sure you know it. I'm personally going to be posting the strategies that we use in a text form on our forums. And hopefully everybody has something similar like that that they can go to and check out and figure it out. So like I said, I'm going to be posting more videos about this, and by now this is probably going to be a two slaughter video, so hope it wasn't too boring, but really a raid leader should know these things, and I will post new videos out, guys. Be sure to click on the big yellow button there that says subscribe to see my videos come out. I'm big into these how-tos. If you have any suggestions or requests, feel free to post a response on YouTube, message me on YouTube, find me in game, get a hold of me somehow, and I'll gladly figure it out and put it up for you guys. As always, thanks for watching. This was Fhraelaok, the Guildmaster of the Corel Straz Guild, Dragons of Abyss on the Alliance side. Check us out at dragonsofabyss.wowstead.com or our community site at dragonsofabyss.com. Till next time, guys.